Thanks everyone for joining us on time for this important webinar where we're going to be discussing about the entire transition that we've been able to see from the finance to the fintech space, how automation is actually coming in when we're talking about the financial planning and analysis space altogether. And who better than the director KPMG in India coming and speaking to us. Gagan started his schooling at St. Joseph's Academy, went on to do his bachelor's from Delhi University. Post that, went to Birmingham City University, did his MSc in management and finance. But that's not it. These credentials don't define the persona of Gagan, but he's a sharp thinking, pragmatic and energetic individual. That's what everybody who's worked closely talks about him. And Gagan's functional experience in finance domain, his focus towards making sure that projects are delivered in accordance to the set goal and benchmarks, his ability to deliver under pressure in a very calm manner is actually unparalleled according to all the people who worked with him, under him. They're always in unison about that. He's dedicated to deliver transforming sustainable solutions. And what better than in making those strategic decisions via financial planning and a proper understanding of the toolkits which are there. So I welcome you all to this webinar, which is going to be spearheaded by Gagan Arora. Over to you, Gagan. I'll let you spearhead the entire conversation. Please help us understand finance to fintech landscape, the automation that has been taking place so far.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thanks for introducing me. So a little bit more introduction. I'll just take a minute. So I'm a director with KPMG and welcome everybody to the MasterClass today. I've been with KPMG since about 7 years and I have about 18 years experience in enterprise performance management globally in UK, US, and in India. So I'll be just taking you through certain fintechs, what is happening on the fintech world in the financial planning and analysis side. Today's session, basically the introduction, what we'll be including today is going to be what is changing in the financial planning and analysis area and how FP&A can respond to the challenges, what we are facing, and how the finance function needs to be upscale and futuristic. How does this impact the service delivery of the entire financial planning and analysis? Should this be done with offshoring coming in, shared services coming in, center of excellence, etc., coming in? How is the impact of technology on the service delivery model of financial planning and analysis? And how is the role of financial planning and analysis changing across the globe? What is changing from what used to be business as usual about 5 years or 10 years down the line, and what is specifically changing over the last 5 years? And what are the automation opportunities and benefits, what we are going to see within the financial planning and analysis? What is the benefits coming out of bringing in the automation? Is it good? Is it too much of it is good or a little bit of it is good? We'll just look at that as well. So what is the future-ready finance organization looking like? So the important thing here is that there's a disruption. We are seeing the disruption in the business every day. So disruption means that could be, the innovation coming in or changes coming in the industry. The requirements from the business are transponding. We see a lot of things like DVDs being obsolete in the market, and then you're coming with all the online films, etc., like we see Netflix, Amazon, etc. So all these things are moving. The way we do the business is changing. There's a lot of innovation coming in place, and then hence the finance and FP&A, the financial planning and analysis, has to be very much ready for the future. It has to work along with the business, along with the CEOs, along with the senior leadership. So hence, the technology is key to basically work along with the finance function and ensure that there is a futuristic finance function which is working hand in hand as a business partner to the business. So strategic finance, 78% of the finance leaders believe that the AI, which is artificial intelligence, will enable the finance staff to do more value-added services instead of doing what they have been doing in the past. Most of the transactional activities have been done in the past, where the focus is moving from the transaction to the analysis. Data and analytics insights, 68% of the organizations have invested in data and analytics as per the research. So this is still, if you can see, it's 68% over the years now. It's been in the recent years, in the past 4 or 5 years. But if we look at beyond 4 or 5 years, it was like around 20 to 25%. And we still see a long way to go to get us to the 100% automation in financial planning in the finance area. And it's a very, very important thing because speed is everything today. And speed, if data or analytics done without the speed, without accuracy, it doesn't mean anything. So that's why all the organization, the change which we have seen from 20 to 25% going up to 68% in past 3 to 4 or 5 years it's amazing. Then looking at the finance delivery model, 52% of the high performing organizations are very active in changing the delivery model. When we say delivery model means how the finance function is working or how the financial planning and analysis is working. We see shared services coming into the picture. We see center of excellence coming into the picture. We have multinational organizations who are based out in in all regions across the globe. So somebody sitting in US and the work is basically done in India. As you know, a lot of shared service centers we have in India. We have center of excellences opened and shared services in Manila, etc. So various areas for various different reasons. So key reasons being, some of the countries like India, Philippines, we have a lot of English-speaking population and work can be done in this area rather than expensive resources in the local markets. So hence, the use of technology has increased a lot in a scenario to enable this and to reduce the cost of travel, to reduce the cost of high-paying jobs which are transactional in nature and sitting in the high-paying economies or regions. So hence, that's what it means by delivery model. But again, in FP&A sense, a financial planning and analysis sense, it's not only the transactional activities which have been outsourced over the period. It has been more of analytics. It has been more of insights-driven, data-driven activities which have also been moved towards out of the country or into a center of excellence for a region or in-house center of excellence, which is serving multiple entities of an organization. So I'll want you to see a short video which will be talking about how the future of finance looks like in a nutshell. And then we will move on to our detailed journey of this.
As a CFO, you've got a lot on your mind. Change seems to be happening faster than you can keep track of. And your task, not only with making sure your organization is financially sound and thriving today, you also need to ensure it continues to be viable tomorrow. How will your organization deliver increased experience centricity, respond to changing workforce demographics, and prepare for converging industry models?
Kathy, the word is a bunch of new tariffs are about to hit. We need to know what that's going to do to our global expansion strategy.
A lot of data to get our arms around.
As soon as possible.
With constant disruption as the new normal, how do you cross that divide between where you are today and where you need to be tomorrow to be a competitive, agile, 21st century finance organization? The good news is that in the future, finance functions within organizations play an increasingly strategic role.
Good morning, Catherine. Would you like me to confirm your weekly CEO luncheon with Kevin? He wants to discuss the acquisition in Singapore.
I'll be there. Val, I need the Q1 financial highlights.
Here you go. For Q1, revenue was $365.3 million, with margin of $218.4 million and operating income of $145.6 million.
Compare operating income with last quarter.
Operating income was up 20.1%. Shall I convert to digital currency?
Yes.
I have Jessica for you.
Put her through.
Hey, Catherine, I have those numbers you wanted.
Great.
Since we've been projecting staffing needs in 12-month predictive cycles, we anticipate saving 21% globally on operating expenses this year, given our increased use of AI and newly automated functions.
And moving forward?
We're looking at the same or better over the next 36 months.
That's terrific, Jess. Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yes, the new automated plants can be rapidly retooled if we need to shift production to a different region. The automation, along with integration of IoT and blockchain, has made us considerably more agile. If we need to shift production, We know precisely what assets are in each region, what can be easily redeployed, and the exact cost of any necessary investment.
That's important as we continue to assess the evolving tariff picture.
Absolutely.
Catherine, where are we in selecting the site for those 2 new warehouse facilities?
We just ran a new query and crunched internal and external data, including the data we collected from drone flyovers of the top 5 locations. We had a couple of perfect options. Val, upload to the cloud all of the location data around the warehouse location search and send an email to the team that the board has approved the selections.
Done.
The future is rich with opportunity. The big question is, how do you cross the divide from where you are today to where you'll need to be to thrive tomorrow? You take action to disrupt your own business model, to take advantage of new opportunities for growth. It starts with a vision of where you're heading and a blueprint to get there. To us, the potential for what a 21st century enterprise can achieve is exciting, especially with a future-focused finance organization leading the way. Let's take that first step together.
So you can see from this video, it talks about what is changing in the finance world. You can see there has been industry disruptors. There are a lot of changes happening in the market. You can see Kevin, who is the CEO of the company, and Catherine, who is the CFO of the company. How Kevin comes over to Catherine and asks that there is a change which is coming in. We need to invest in the new market, etc. And how Catherine was under pressure initially to see how she will be able to manage. There's a lot of data to be analyzed, to be understood. But once she got back, she was able to, with the help of IoT, AI, and multiple tools which have been implemented in the organization, ERP systems, EPM tools, based on all that working integratedly together in conjunction, she was able to give the analysis and the information which was more prescriptive, which was helping Kevin make the decisions. And Jessica, who was her subordinate, who was looking at HR, manpower data, etc., she was able to provide her the information right with the speed, the real-time data in the right moment. And they were able to bridge the gap. So they knew that there is a change coming in and they were ready for the change. So that's what we are going to talk about in a little bit more detail of what is changing and what we need to do about that change and what the specifics of changes coming through in financial planning and analysis. So we talk about the cross-sector business disruptors. We looked at, there was technology disruptors which were coming in place. There were other business disruptors like new business model coming in, as we were talking about the DVDs or CD businesses running out, and then now moving on to the auto, to the online media, Netflix, Amazon Prime, etc. How the businesses are becoming redundant. So we have to be ready from a finance perspective as well to be able to make the decisions on a quicker and efficient manner. We see a lot of applications coming in for our daily rides, Uber, Ola, etc., which are into our have a major impact in our daily lives. How we used to travel early and how we are traveling now with the press of a button in an application. You can see live location of people traveling, moving, and you have to understand the data which is being captured behind this for analysis and analytics. So that's where the business is moving, and with these technology disruptors, we need to move from a finance function perspective as well, from a financial planning and analysis perspective. We need to be ready with our scenario analysis, what if analysis, real-time data, more efficient data, accurate data to make right business decisions. So there are other disruptors as well in the market. If we look at over here, just giving you a brief overview of that the changing workforce demographics, as we were talking about earlier. It's like workforce, especially after COVID scenario, what we have seen, not locally, but globally as well, that the work from home culture, most of the companies have permanently given work from home for their employees all across the globe, or maybe 2 days to office, 3 days work from home, which in these kind of scenarios, we would have never imagined this happening even 2 years before. If we talk about a consulting world, we used to be at the client place every day, delivering all the projects, whether it's in the north part of the country or south or east or west, even in the remote locations. But what has changed today is we are managing everything with the help of a technology. We're delivering end-to-end project sitting in a very different location, and our clients are very, very happy in this. They don't want us to be present there physically. The work is getting done. It's more efficient. It's driving more better results. The analysis are coming out better. So hence the things have changed. So we need to ensure the disruptors which are happening around us, and the finance is ready to overcome the change and be as a business partner, and use those disruptors to be ahead of the game. The technologies which we are talking about, so technology is making a real game-changing impacts over here. So if we look at certain technology disruptors, data management, blockchain coming into the picture, we would have never heard about these terminologies about few years down the line. We hear about a lot of machine learning, we hear about robotics, we hear about cloud tools. So if we look at cloud tools, 4 years even back down the line, they were not very, easy to use or easy for all the organizations to adopt to that, because there were risks around, data security, where the servers will stand, and how their data will be in a secure position. So most of the clients used to prefer on-premise data servers to be located in their offices, or a particular region which is more safer than a location which is not considered to be safe as per the organization. But things have moved on from there, and a lot of things have changed. Now we have a dedicated server companies who are providing servers and security assurances across the globe, and a lot of organizations globally have moved to that. So it enables them to have lesser amount of costs in managing the data servers, managing the things locally in-house, and just outsourcing, and having the benefit of getting the real-time data information, etc., on all their budgeting, planning, forecasting, reporting, giving them the capabilities of working through the applications, mobile applications, and see, as you've seen in the video, Catherine was using a bot, and it's like Alexa. She's just asking the information, and it was just being published. It's published straight away. But if you look at a few years down the line, again, I've worked for a lot of technology and media companies during our consulting days, and what we used to see. These companies used to prepare daily reports and weekly reports and monthly reports, very cumbersome for the FP&A team, very difficult for them to prepare this and to distribute this to the relevant stakeholders. We had like dedicated people sitting in who will prepare the report from like 6 hours in a day, and then they will circulate the report across the various stakeholders through emails, and there will be issues regarding sending it across and all that. So what a lot of manual work was required. All this is gone now. What we see now is no human intervention is required in these kind of reports. We can tag people who want to see those reports, who should be seeing what level of information. We can also give rights to the people at certain hierarchy, and ensure that only that information is visible to a person who wants to and has to see that information. In terms of budgeting planning, what we have seen is the budgets which were prepared, especially for various departments and various entities, if we talk about. So it becomes really huge and difficult to manage if you have to have 20 departments submitting the budget, all the budgets in last 1 hour, and then somebody sitting in a central location consolidating all those budgets and all those Excel files and preparing something out of it which makes sense, and ensuring these are error-free, absolutely good data was a big challenge to achieve that. And it used to take people overnights or weekends working, etc. What change has brought in by all these technologies right now is that all this information can be fed into their local systems, local servers, and all this gets consolidated at a headquarters. So a company like Vodafone, for example, if I just take, they would have their headquarters in Newbury, UK, but all across the globe, the information is being sending across for their budgets, reports, etc. on a weekly, monthly, daily basis, and they consolidate that and report it to their CEOs and CFOs. So how is it possible to do it like on a real time basis? It's all enabled through these cloud EPM tools and cloud ERP tools. Cognitive has helped a lot in doing scenario planning, what if analysis, which is very important in making key strategic decisions with the business to ensure which country to invest in, which area to invest in, which brand to launch, which brand to discontinue. So those important decisions are all made through data, and importance of technology is really huge. So the future of finance is basically fintech. That's where we are moving to. So what you should be thinking, if you have to, if you're standing today and you have to make certain changes, you have to look at your data strategy. You have to ensure that the data which is being captured is in a right manner. It's in the right slicing and dicing. The dimensions of the data are making sense. So it should not be like rubbish in and rubbish out. It should be a very structured data all across, and so that if anybody wants to drill down to the lowest level of information, it's very easy to go down, as you've seen in the video as well, when Catherine was trying to drill down and ask further question, what is the revenue and what is the revenue by a region, or what is the revenue by product? Is it feasible for me to open a warehouse in a new location? She was able to get all that information, looking at utilizing of drones, etc. So data has been captured through all these sources, but it has to be maintained in the right dimension, right cubes. So data strategy becomes very important in that. Then the next big thing is about the people who are processing the data, the skills, the competencies which we need within the FP&A becomes very important. I've seen a lot of companies which we have worked for, bigger, contain the names here, but bigger social media companies, if we see that number one, number two of the world, we have done the implementations for them as well. And what we see, there are people who there are a lot of technologies which they're using. There are about 4 or 5 different EPM cloud tools, and everything you can name, they would have it, but people are not knowing how to use it. So it's very important to train those people and ensure that they know all the features and benefits. It's like having a smartphone in your hand, but you don't know how to use the apps. So that is very important and key in parallel to having the right technology, right data strategy, etc. Then the next big thing is your operating model. How are you operating? You want to create a specific centralized team on FP&A, or you want to have small regional teams? What kind of work should be done by like a machine learning, or what kind of cognitives you can implement where you can have some ready as a first draft budgets or forecasts, which comes through all the intelligent data which we are collecting based on our data strategy, which can be straight away used, and the commentaries can be also populated based on that. So the system the technology should already be able to provide you insights. If there is a variance, why is there a variance? What is leading to the variance? And what is the solution to avoid that variance in the future? So a very good example I'll give, I've implemented similar thing for a low-cost airline in the Southeast Asia region. So here, things like, although it looks like a very simple business to run an airline, but when you look into from a planning, reporting, and analysis perspective, it's a very detailed and cumbersome business to work in. So for example, if an airline, when the door of the flight is closed at the airport, from there to how much time it takes to go to the runway, because it's a fuel which is the cost. If it takes longer, if it stands on a runway for longer time, there's a lot of cost involved in that. And beyond that, from the moment the flight wheel takes off from the runway and it touches the ground and wherever it's going, that flight time, it's really important to measure that. What is the speed of the flight? You could not even think of that. Things like what speed the pilot was flying, the aircraft is also tracked. What level or what height the flight was running is also being tracked. Was there a need of a go around if there is, or it was just taken by mistake? So these kind of variances from the budgeted costs are looked into in this kind of a business, because it's a very low margin business when you look at the oil prices going up and when you look at the low cost airlines having the pressure. So the level of data, the level of information what we need to take the right decisions is very important, and hence capturing of this information in the right manner, processing of this information in the right manner, and presenting of this information in the right manner comes as a very important thing. Then we have to look at how we are utilizing our digital solutions. As I was saying, we have seen a lot of implementations happen of technology at a lot of the places in FP&A function, but do you need that is also a question. How mature you are right now and where you want to be. So everybody cannot be out of 1 to 5, everybody cannot be 5. 3 might be good for you. I mean, 5 might not be good for you. So you have to look at your own maturity and then decide 1 is good or 5 is good for you. Then what do you need to start considering? So some of the important factors, important facts, what we need to see, as we were discussing earlier as well, is about like geography no longer matters. You need to ensure that the virtual deliveries, the contactless deliveries are the way of future. Globally, FP&A can be managed. A lot of things can be done at a different location, and purely analytical work can be retained at a centralized location. What works get done, it's also important. So if we look at financial planning and analysis about 3-4 years back as well, it was a lot of transactional stuff, a lot of Excel, lots of modeling which was being done, a lot of drivers which was in past historical data which was just being captured and which was of no use. History is important, but to a certain extent we cannot just keep the data which is not at the same level and which is not required or structured, which will be used for a future analysis or future comparison purposes. So business models are changing. So these things need to be get updated as the things as the business changes. We cannot rely on the data which was 10 years down the line and we start comparing to today. I mean, we are into a different world. We cannot go beyond 3 years, 4 years max. So how work gets done, automation, integration, we have multiple systems in financial planning and analysis, but how is it integrated? Or somebody has to go into manually and look at all those various tools to take out the budgeted data and then take out the actual data from somewhere else, then start comparing them with each other, and then preparing a report manually maybe, and then start emailing it out. So all this should be integrated. Multiple systems should be integrated. The numbers should flow from one place to another. One repository, which is the source of truth, which is the mother of all, that this is what we need to refer to, should be available. Anything, any request which is being made on a budget or a plan or a report, it goes back to the same repository of data, picks up from there, and then presents to the right kind of user. Who does the work? Again, reshaped support structure, which we're talking about, post-COVID scenarios, what we see today, everything is remote, everything, the business models have totally changed. The things which you would have necessarily done sitting in front of the system of a particular client, we are able to do all those remotely as well. And similar to any FP&A organization, what we see with a lot of clients, how they are managing the entire budgets and plans and strategies throughout, it's totally changed. So we have to look into that workforce point of view from financial planning teams, how they should be aligned, how they should be situated, etc. Then the changing role of finance, as we talked about, if you look at the purple pie here, the transactional process entirely, which was the traditional organization. In today's organization, it's budgeting, planning, data analytics, and process management, which have taken this under the bigger circle of automation. So automation has helped taking the bigger share of these activities into the business and integrate them into the business rather than the transactional work, which was focused more from a finance background. You know, the finance team was always considered to be as a backend team. Now it's not like that. It has to be a business partnering environment. Financial planning analysis always has to sit very near to the strategy or CEO's office to ensure that the right kind of information and data is being forwarded to make efficient decision making. The world around us is transforming. So as we were looking at the pyramid which you see here, it's if you look at it into inverted model. So we had lesser number of people sitting and doing the value added work or a business partnering work earlier, and this has shifted altogether. All the transactional compliance related works have been taken over by the robots, RPAs, machine learning, and automation, which has been deployed. So very few number of people are should be focusing on here. Heavy financial analysis, heavy financial lifting, all those kind of work should be done by the top layer itself. And when I say top layer, it doesn't mean that the CFO has to do it himself. It more means that they have everything in their hand and they are not dependent on the people who will process the data, who will input the data and bring out something for them. And it parallelly reduces the risks of errors and brings in more efficiency, speed, real-time analysis, which is important today. So investments, if we look at 61% has been invested on data analytics side. If we look at from that perspective, 58% cognitive technologies from planning, budgeting perspectives. So cognitive helps in doing scenario planning and picking up the data and doing what if analysis and presenting this options to the leaders that this is what could be possible solution going forward. If you do this, this will be your revenue, this will be your EBITDA, etc. And how your KPIs will be looking at. Vis-a-vis, if you do things in a different manner, or if you launch a totally different product, your revenues, etc., will be looking at this level. So then it's easier for the leadership and for the key stakeholders to make that right decisions to move forward. IoT, again, 55% of the investments are going into that as well. But as we talked about earlier, it may not be necessary for everyone to have a lot of IoTs when comparing to their level of maturity. Analytics shifting from descriptive to prescriptive. So what has moved from the past to now is it used to be always the information, bringing the technology, helping out to have multiple dimension analysis. You will have region, geography, product, service, customer. You want to see anything, you can see that. But then what next? I mean, there was no diagnostic being done on that. What is changing toward now is moving towards the right side. There's a lot more diagnostic, a lot more time is being spent on this already available data to further analyze, further break it and see what is the right way to use it in future. What are the things which we can avoid in future? So it becomes more prescriptive that what are the whatever has happened, rather than looking back. It talks about what you can do to avoid things going wrong in future. Doing strategic scenario analysis, revenue, profitability, etc. So what if analysis is the way of future. So we've been talking about company's journey. Every company is different, and on their maturity, if you look at technical maturity is on the left side, and if you look at on the bottom, this is the how you want to disrupt and whether it should be near term, medium term, or a long term change. Data management is something which everybody has to do because that is the basic, that is the start as a stepping stone. If you have the right data, right structuring, you can use that as a next step. You cannot have Alexa being installed, but no data being available for you to be able to present that. So from again going back to the video, if Catherine would have asked for some information, there's no point if that information is not available or structured or integrated behind the scenes. And there wouldn't have been just a result coming out of it directly. So it's always important to do certain things first and certain things at a later end. So data management being one of the very important steps, which generally companies have to adopt in the near future. ERPs, cloud ERPs, a very important point from a point of view of capturing the actuals. And then enterprise performance management tools like Anaplan, Board International, OneStream. These are one of the key tools which are in the market specifically for financial planning and analysis. These are all cloud-based and these are end-to-end. You can do integrated business planning in this. You can So for example, for a company like H&M, the procurement to distribution to everything can be planned in this, and then the financial planning can be linked through this. What will be your revenue? Where you want to open a store? What is the store opening strategy? Which country you want to launch a product, etc. So end-to-end planning can be done using one tool itself rather than using multiple tools, and they give you real-time results. They're easy to implement. The time span of implementing these tools is very it's about 3 to 4 to 5 months for a decent size of an organization, depending on upon their geographical expansion. And these kind of tools are usually being managed by the finance professionals themselves from the FP&A team. You don't need IT specialist per se. For example, what you would need in generally of major typical tools like SAPs and all that, BPC, etc., where you need people to code in the information for you, and then actually dependencies on IT and couple of years or year-long implementations go on. But these can be handled by the finance professionals and analysts with limited technical knowledge as well. So those are the benefits of these. So that being the next step, next bigger circle, and then coming up to robotics. So if you have everything in place from a recording perspective, from a planning perspective, so these are important things. And then robotics, machine learning is working in conjunction with this. For example, if you are implementing Anaplan, machine learning can help you learn over the time, over the period of next 2-3 budgeting cycles or forecasting cycles, to understand, to do the things automatically, but it has to deliver through these tools. So it's very important to have a decent EPM tool, a decent ERP system in as a first step, rather than bringing robotics, machine learning. It should be in conjunction with that. So hence it's just showing a typical picture here, what should be done in an immediate future, and then so on. But it will again depend on the individual maturity curve of a company and what is important for them. But this is what best in class looks like. Opportunities and benefits in FP&A, financial planning and analysis. So you see the top boxes, and the quality, the accuracy, process improvement, and the speed and efficiency. So these are the benefits of having extreme automation or technology in the FP&A area. It leads to consistencies in the reporting. It leads to advanced analytics. It leads to real-time data availability. It leads to making efficient and complex decisions through cognitive, through automation, rather than somebody sitting in and making those basic decisions. So you're already 70% work is already done through automation, and then 30% of that time is spent doing a lot of further analysis and looking at the things, what further you can do beyond that, instead of getting to that 50% mark or 60% or 70% mark and just stopping there. Because the cycle time of doing the budgeting, the cycle time of doing the forecasting, or preparing a decent or good report, it takes a lot of time. So all that time gets away with bringing in the efficient tools and technologies. Some type of opportunities in automation within FP&A. Sorry about the text, it's a little small, but it shows about the decomposition of an entire financial planning and analysis from level 1 to level 5, level 6. So for example, if you start with level 1, it will be your strategic planning, the first step strategic plan, which is a long range plan, 4 years, 3 years, 5 years plan, which you say that this is how much revenue you're going to make, for example, over the period of next 3 years or 4 years or 5 years. And then as a next step, you move, okay, I will make in next 5 years, this will be my strategy. I'll have this much revenue, this much EBITDA. These are the sectors where I want to be in. These are the countries I want to expand to. And these are the products I want to launch or discontinue, etc. But what about further details from there? So we'll be looking at the detailed budgeting, which will be as a next step, and looking at for one first year, and looking at okay, if you want to expand over the 5 years, but what about details? What exactly you're going to do? How you're going to start? What are the drivers of this change? What products you're going to launch in first year, and going into a more detailed level of information on that. defining operationally in next 12 months what is your achievement is going to be, and then moving from there towards the forecasting, which is even more shorter time, where you will be looking at, for example, next 2 months, 3 months, or you will be doing a rolling forecast for next 12 months. Or so companies like telecom and all that, they are very dynamic, so they have to do a forecast every 2 months. So they do 2 plus 10, 5 and 7, 9 and 15, rather than just doing stopping at the budgets. So again, it depends upon companies to companies, their the changes in they are facing, or disruptors they are facing in the market. But with these colors, what we see here is all the purple ones, these are cognitive learnings. So as we move on, these purple boxes can be handled through a cognitive solution. And if we look at machine learning, those are these light colored blue boxes. These steps can be taken as a machine learning. So these are repetitive tasks, for example, creating a forecast and how the market has performed in the previous month or previous 5 months, and taking the data or information from there and understanding the trend, understanding the seasonality impacts, etc., and then populating that into the next model for the next forecast already, and preparing a base ready for the use or for further scenario planning. And cognitive will help these purple boxes, which where cognitive will further help in doing what if analysis, which is more I would say brain thinking, where your brain is required, a lot of thinking is required. So there the cognitive intelligence will come into picture. And looking at certain manual activities, if we look at, there are very few. These boxes which we look at here, lighter shade from the darkest blue, I would say. So these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes which we see is the only manual intervention in this entire FP&A decomposition, which will still be advised to kept for somebody as a human to go in and look into it. And these are the kind of activities where you finalize the drivers. For example, your new drivers are coming in, how you look at the things. Budgeting drivers keep on changing, so you have to review those, you have to validate those. If there's a new policy coming in, somebody has to physically go and validate that policy. If you have certain rules being established, you want to validate and review and agree to sign off those rules. So those are the kind of things which will be left only for manual interventions. But 90% of the work, what you see here, it will be moved to an automated environment. So some of the illustratives towards the prioritization of automation opportunities, what is the evaluation criteria? So there's a matrix which is made from a cost saving perspective, what are the benefits, whether it's benefits are like high, medium or low, is it a long-term benefit or short-term benefit, etc. So these are just evaluation criteria, what are used to decide again what level of automation should be implemented. For example, here, how do we prioritize? This is for the strategic planning. So if we look at number 7, this is talking about perform strategic scenario analysis. So scenario analysis is high benefit, but low complexity, because we are able to implement, we already assume that we have an EPM tool, and it will help us cognitively think through and prepare some scenarios for us. So there is a high benefit, but complexity is very low if we implement this technology. Whereas comparing to something which is has got a low benefit but high complexity, like a number 2, like review stakeholder expectations. These are more out of the systems kind of thing, more some things which we have to do with people itself. Hence, the benefit of it is low if you implement a technology. So technology cannot help you review the expectations from the stakeholders, for example. And in number 6, if you see in high benefit, high complexity. So developing a baseline will require for you to decide on the drivers, decide on the model, create a entire complex structure of how the budgeting should be done, what should be crossing each other, what driver should be looked at what point, and what is the breakdown of that driver. Is it the price? Is it the quantity? Is it the location where you're selling? What is driving the revenue or the cost out of it? So the benefits are high, but complexities are also high. So the technologies which we will implement, which will give us the benefits, we'll have to, put this into this kind of a matrix and then decide and focus more on high benefit and low complexity rather than low benefit and high complexity. So these are again, you can see which kind of automation can be implemented into a different kind of activity. So this is the further breakdown of budgeting activity, strategic planning activity. So if we have to evaluate forecasted business performance, this is more of a reporting, comparing budget versus actuals, looking at the variance analysis, etc., which can be done through a machine learning. So there's no cognitive learning required over here. Cognitive is required in things like scenario analysis, if you look at 2.3 here. So these things, cognitive, etc., can be implemented at the longer run, and things which are on the short term will be things like evaluation, reporting, which can be done through a rule-based automation or machine learning. That's a differentiation which we have to make, where we want to be and how much is the benefit versus cost involved in doing that. So finally, a summary of the entire reality of the future of FP&A, what it is looking like. If you see, it's all cloud-based tools like Anaplan, Board International, OneStream, etc., which are taking over the typical on-premise tools which were available in the market before. And these are gaining importance just because of the speed and their ability to bring data together in a very short time and in a very correct manner, so that and able to make very complex model by the finance professional or FP&A professional itself, rather than having too much dependency on IT resources or coding kind of people requirement. Then rapid access of reporting data. Reports are prepared and distributed to the list which is already prepared, already fed in as a rule, and goes out to the people who views what. The same report, a section could be viewed by only marketing, for example, and not being viewed by finance or not being viewed by administration or sales department. Only the thing which is relevant to their department, their area will be viewable to them. And obviously, leadership can view the entire P&L if they want to see. So that's how the reports can be automated and sent across through the automated channels. Allow the visibility of various forecasts. So the forecast can be touchless, as you were talking about. It can be the cognitive and the machine learning, all these things coming together. We'll be able to prepare already 5 or 6 different scenarios for you to decide which scenario to go ahead with it. And rather than spending that 70% of the 100% time required in getting to a position where you are only putting together that scenario or what if analysis or analysis or for decision making, and so it helps basically spending more time on the decision making part rather than creating of the data part. Then rapid focus, quicker insights. All these things are basically the summarized view, what we need from an FP&A, what is the expectation from an FP&A in the futuristic environment, the scenario planning, what if analysis, all in the real time with the speed, with the agility and minimized error possibility, which is key to it. So I'll just take a pause here and wait for any questions you may have or any other technologies or anything what we have discussed or looked at today.
We have Sahil Ruya's question. In terms of activities, how will a daily life of an FP&A look like after automation? So
after automation, you would be focusing more on analytics and rather than creating those analytics. So, if the tools are able to provide you the right kind of information in the right structure, it is important for an FP&A person to be able to validate those drivers which were agreed or validate the rules which are required based on the change in the business scenario which is happening. But then at the end of the day, a lot of data crunching and creation of models, etc., and consolidation time, which is generally taken by an FP&A professional, is to be taken out. And that's what the future looks like. Hope that answers the question. If there is a follow-up question, I can take that as well.
I think we could wait for another 30 seconds, but by and large, I think your presentation exhaustively covered all the aspects, the strategic planning aspect, as well as how what the future looks like. Yes, see, the comments are itself speaking for the session. It's a great session. Thanks for your answer. Sahil has been mentioning that. Great.
Thank you, Sahil. So, there's a lot to talk about FP&A and technology. Unfortunately, we have limited time. But if you have any specific question, more than happy to answer those in this area. So exploring more in terms of learning. So basically, you need to be, as we talked about, one important part of this is business partnering. If you look at the entire finance function, there are a lot of, so there is AR, AP, etc. But financial planning is one area which is very near to the business and works very along with the business. So you need to have, from a learning perspective, understand the value chain of the business, which is very important. So the modeling has to make logic for the business. If the financial modeling is done and doesn't make any logic for the business, they will not use it, they will not accept it. So you will send them the information, you will create all the drivers, you will ask for the information, but people will not be keen to put in that information or not put in because it will not lead you to decision making or lead them to bring business to them. Ultimately, at the end of the day, business is there for revenue and profit, and the benefit should be clearly visible. So hence business partnering is key. So for FP&A, the key skills you need, again, I'll repeat that business partnering is number one. Number two is technological understanding of how the numbers need to be presented in the right manner. So having a lot of numbers alone on a slide for a CFO will not make any sense. If you are an FP&A professional and you want to present the numbers to the CFO, like you saw in the video, Jessica had brought in all the information in terms of a lot of graphs. So you need to have waterfalls, you need to have comparators, and data on its own doesn't make any sense if it is not compared to anything. So for example, external benchmarks, external data, or internal data comparing various brands or various departments. It depends what you're comparing to. And again, the historical data, the trends, and then seasonality impacts, etc., which are important things within the FP&A area. So in short, it should be business understanding, technology understanding, and linking them together to be able to effectively make decisions.
Absolutely. I think that by and large sums up all. Thank you so much for your time. And just like Gagan, and Gagan, of course, is also a master for the KPMG Applied Finance for the KPMG Finance FP&A program. Beg your pardon. And we will, of course, have a lot of these info sessions, masterclasses in the upcoming few days. So please make sure that all of you attend those to get more clarity. Thank you so much, everyone. Any last minute thoughts that you would like to wrap up the session with, Gagan?
Yeah, so thanks everyone for joining the session, and I hope all of you keep up to date with the technologies coming in and within the FP&A area. It's a very interesting area to be in finance, and if you have to, especially if you have to move up the ladder, it's something where you have to be. A lot of CFOs are being the CEOs of the company now, what we never used to see before. So that's the big change which we are seeing. So it's a big learning curve and big change for the people who are already in finance and knowing the finance, but moving their focus from finance to the strategy or to the business, and making the value added, the value add and the difference to the real business value chain. So it will really help. So be up to date with the business and with the finance and with the technical knowledge.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. On that note of advice of making sure that you are immersed in technology and being relevant. Thank you everyone for staying till the very end. Thanks a ton, Gagan, for your time. It was a really informative webinar.